Hey everybody, welcome to the Note MBA podcast, your home for note investing on iTunes. I'm Chase Thompson, and for the first time in a long time, Mr. Woods and I are in the same room. I think the last time we actually did this was when we were recording a show with a hedge fund manager. It was going to come out around the 30s and 40s, and the audio was completely trash, so you guys never got that episode. And then prior to that, it was in the teens. So it's overdue. It might have even been literally 100 episodes ago.
Now that hedge fund manager has to have permission to do interviews. So he hasn't been back on the show because he's big, special.
Big time. Big time. So anyway, I'm really excited about this week's show. I've been wanting to bring more video to the show. So if for no other reason, I'm done. I'm good. I'm done for the show. I'll see you guys later. It'll just be Robbie from here on out.
I still have a little suntan from the cruise, so it's helping with the video quality.
Yes, because that's what it is. It's the 4K images because of that. I like what you said when we got together. You said, the sun looks good on me. That's a good...
It does, but this is also why people tell us we have voices for radio, and they're never like, we really wish we had more video of you guys recording the podcast.
Yeah, no one's ever really requested more video. I've always just wanted to put more... Dang.
Well, we may have to adjust this idea, but we think it's good for now.
We do think it's good for now. So we wanted to sit down. We have a big-ish... it's a big announcement. We have a big announcement for the show, for the Note MBA family, as it were, and no, the past 2 times we've said this, it's been a kid of mine that was either being born or been, we did an ultrasound or something. This is an actual addition to the team. We're very excited about it. So that will come at the end of the show because we want you guys to stay all the way until the end.
Oh, teaser.
But before then, I asked you what you wanted to talk about today, and you immediately took out, you ripped pages out of a magazine.
Yeah.
What is this?
Well, so it's part of a weird thing. So as you guys can see on the video.
And you can hear the ruffled papers.
Whenever I keep a book at home, it's like a life book. And I got a couple different ones. One's for, something, if I get hit by a bus kind of thing. That way my dad can just take it out and he's got all the information he needs. The other one is one I use to kind of guiding principle, and I come back to it. It's articles, it's letters that people have written me, just a variety of different sources of information that I'm always changing. It's the poor man's version of Robbie's Tools for Titans that Tim Ferriss has created, of just advice, articles, and things that I have taken.
You, real quick, before you jump in, you mentioned, have you read a lot of Ben Franklin stuff?
The original autobiography, which were letters to his son, I have had the opportunity to read.
So he actually had something he called I believe it was called a commonplace book. Mm-hmm. And essentially it was, if you're on video, you can kind of see what I'm talking about, not for any other reason, it just happened to look like this, right? Because it's leather bound back in the day or whatever. But what he had was a commonplace.
He had books.
He had a ton, right? But no, he had a commonplace book, and it was essentially whenever he got news, a quote, his best friends were Jefferson and Washington, so I'm sure they were abounding with quotes. But essentially, he had this thing called a commonplace book, and it was just all of this gathered information over time that the value of it, though, came from revisiting it. And that's where I think, it was obviously quotes, there's all this other kind of cool stuff, but it's this idea of a commonplace book. And I think if you Google it, you can actually kind of see the structure that he went through to develop it and all this kind of stuff. But that's essentially what you're describing. Is that kind of what that is?
So this is with big format. It's the exact same thing.
Did you just Google it?
No, what I actually was Googling was a separate thing I started doing. My buddy Brian that works for Disney out in California is a big fan of Ryan Holiday also.
Oh, Ryan Holiday, yeah. Okay, cool.
Lesson, ego is the enemy, obsession is the way. Holiday's got a thing where I'm trying to get it to load the internet. It's like a life box kind of thing. So it's a different system for keeping track of note cards, which is what I've been doing at home.
The 3x5s.
The 3x5s. Well, I've got the 3x5s and 4x6s because I've got a work one and a life one. So when I come up with better ideas for the company or for business, I allocate them to one. And then when I come up with other crazy ideas, like I just had this idea the other day for something I want to do for my travel cologne. Completely irrelevant, but I came up with the idea.
Did you say travel cologne?
Yeah.
Nice. I just wanted to make sure I heard you correctly.
Yeah, I definitely did. Actually, let's go ahead and take this call. We have a caller. Hi, this is Robert. How can I help you?
City of Danville Code Enforcement Division.
Yeah, I'm guessing you're calling about the property off of Dodge.
Yeah, I had a message to give you a call. apparently you had some questions.
Well, I wanted to reach out about a few things that were just came up with the city that we had some problems with, and just wanted to find out the best way to resolve these. There was one issue regarding a rental registration fee for the property. However, the property's never been a rental. We were the mortgage company and foreclosed on the property. So I'm trying to understand how we're subject to that, or if there's anything the city does to assist us with that. And then in regards to the other issues with cleaning up the property, we were in the process of removing the tenant who wouldn't give us any access to the property to do these things. Now that she's obviously vacated, which I believe the city knew that there was a problem with the occupant of the property, we've already engaged our contractor. They're actually supposed to begin next week once the utilities are set up and turned on in our name. And just want to find out what we can do with the city, as we're going to invest money back to rehabilitate this property completely. But I think on the outside looking in, these fees are a little unnecessary and a little punishing to somebody that's coming in to make the town a little better and wasn't in control of what was actually going on inside of the property at the time.
Well, actually, that street is probably one of our better streets in town, with the exception of that property. What I can tell you is this. Let me see. Today's date is the 28th. Okay, out of the 4 cases that are on this property, let me check this first one here, this interior. Okay, there has not been citations issued on that or court dates.
Okay.
On the exterior of the house. Okay, citations were issued on March 9th and a court date assigned for you on April 13th. Let me check the other case here. Okay, this would have been for the exterior maintenance, would have been the yard. Okay, citation was issued on March 13th and the same date, court date of 4/13 assigned. And that one is. And that was issued a citation on March 13th for rental registration and the same court date of April 13th assigned.
Mm-hmm.
So basically, it's out of my hands. It's in the legal department's hands. Once it gets over there, I can't change anything in the case. The only thing I can tell you to do is there's a rental registration fee due from last year, not this year. But the late fee is $215. They may dismiss that case if you pay the rental registration fee and late fee. If not, it'll run its regular course. They'll probably run those 3 cases together in court at the same time. If you choose to ignore it, then, some people do, but in this case, what they'll do is they'll immediately file a lien on the property. That if you intend to sell it in the future, you'll have to satisfy it.
Yeah, that makes sense. Is there somebody in the legal department you can refer me to? I mean, in the sense of just rationally dealing with this situation? I mean, I wasn't the owner of record, and I understand that the rental registration would attach to the property, but there's...
Well, the rental registration is only attached to the current owner. Once it changes ownership, you have to re-register it.
Yeah, but it's not a rental. It never was, and we've never received any rental income. It was a legally occupied property.
Okay, so, well, there again, that's something that you probably have to talk to the legal department about.
Correct. You have somebody you could refer me to, though?
Yeah, I can, but just keep in mind the ordinance reads if you own a property in the city of Danville and you don't live in it, then it's considered either a rental or a vacant structure, and you really don't want to go the vacant structure route because it's terribly expensive.
So it sounds like the city of Danville is not exactly friendly to people that want to own property unless they're the owner occupant.
Well, no, that's not true. But when you buy property, it sounds like you buy a lot of property. You're subject to the current city's ordinance.
Yeah, if I had time to do that,
every city has its ordinances.
Yeah.
So let's
I know,
keep
but
it where it's supposed to be.
Correct. Rational government is not those aren't 2 words we hear together too often. So there's a hearing on the 13th. I need to contact the legal department, and I can just resolve it at that time, and they're going to do what they're going to do regardless. It seems to see most common. But go in there and explain the situation is kind of what you're saying, correct?
If you've got a local rep or a local attorney, that would help you. It'd probably help you out a lot in this case because that's 4 cases, and that's a pretty extensive.
Well, what's the aggregate fine if I just write them a check right now? It sounds like all the city wants is their hand in my pocket.
No, actually, that's not, no, because, even if you were to pay your fines, the property you'd be given 3 weeks to abate the violation. So
Yeah, but that's
at this point,
yeah. No, we're already doing that though. The entire property is being renovated starting next week. That's why these things are, when this happens, it is kind of out of our hands. So it probably sounds like a situation where it's easier just to write a check.
Well, I mean, that's you saying that. That's not me. This case has been open for quite a while. I don't know whose desk it was sitting on, but it probably didn't get to you till last week. 2297.
2297. And which department is he in? He's in the legal department?
He's the corporate legal counsel.
Okay, perfect. So he has the ability to even just go to court and just say, hey, this individual's done X, Y, and Z, so he can kind of direct the case of the court, or the direction of the case with the court on our behalf, assuming that him and I are able to come to a consensus.
Yeah, I mean, he's going to go off of my notes, and just so you're aware of it, you need to be aware of this. Let me help you out with one thing here, because they were all written within a day or two of each other.
Yeah.
These cases were opened February 24th.
Okay.
So that was over a month ago.
Yeah.
Yeah, and one other thing, I don't know if anybody's conveyed this to you, but the neighborhood up there filled half a shoebox full of syringe needles from that house.
I mean, yeah, usually in cases when we're having to foreclose and evict people, it's unfortunately, it's not the most upstanding citizens that occupy the neighborhood most of the time. So I'm going to guess we won't be surprised by what we find on the rest of the interior. My contractor, I know he's already done a walk through the property.
Okay, and you are, let me see here. I want to make sure I've got this correct in here.
One other thing, and I don't know if you have direct access, has the city updated the mailing address? What the mailing address the city had on the deed was a handwritten address, which was not my attorney's address or mine. And that's why these just now also got into my possession.
Okay. Somebody from your company called here a week and a half ago.
Yeah, that's when, as soon as we found out, we started making phone calls to make sure we got this situation resolved. I mean, ignoring these things are not how we do business.
Let me tell you what I've got here. It's Next Gen Investments LLC.
Yeah, Next Gen Coastal Investments.
Well, it just says Next Gen Investments LLC.
Okay.
PO Box 27370.
Yeah, so that's
Anaheim, California.
So I would say I need to double check the deed because that's not our legal name registered in the state of Illinois to do business, and we are based out of Orlando, Florida. I did when I called the city, we got a copy of the deed, and somebody hand wrote an address on the recorded deed, and right below it is my attorney's address. So I don't know where that handwritten address, which is not my address, not the address registered with the state of Illinois, and was added to it. Obviously, it's no need to point a finger. I just want to resolve the situation, make sure you guys have accurate information.
You guys never had an office in Anaheim, California?
Nope, I have not. No, we've never done business in the state of California, so that's why that's unique. I do believe the individual that called you last week got something from the county and mailed it in to have the address updated on the county records. I just wasn't sure if that was reflecting it.
Yeah, I'll call down to the recorder's office here and have them pull the file on this, and we can go through it and see what's taking place.
Okay.
But anyway, give him a call. With regard to the things that need to be done, I don't know. He may just tell you to wait till your court case and make your case. But they're pretty strict. Once the citation is issued, there's a set amount of days they allow for abatement, where they may reduce the citation but not forgo it.
Okay.
If you have a good discussion with him, maybe he can help you out.
We'll go from there. I do appreciate all the information. I appreciate your time getting back to me.
Okay. Have a good day.
You too. Take care.
Well, not the outcome you were looking for, I guess, but getting connected with somebody that can actually get it addressed. What is aside from the obvious, what's the big issue? I mean, it was all applied to the.
So
what happened? What was give us some background, I guess.
Well, there's two big lessons in here. The one thing, telling him rational and government shouldn't go in the same words together, probably not the best idea.
Some people are a little more brash with government officials. Robbie just decides to go right for the jugular.
Well, the P.O. box, if I had to take a wild stab at it, is FCI. and some attorney that's not paying attention, because the issue that I've had here, I did have this property is in Illinois.
Mm-hmm.
I had an asset in Ohio. We finalized foreclosure, and I wasn't getting any notices, and the notices were going to FCI. So the problem is what happens here. This is a property. I think I bought this note. I'd have to double check the files. 2013 or 2014. So one, talk about you never know how long your hold time is going to be on a note deal, which is a big takeaway. This is one where I put it with the full collection with FCI. The borrower was at the time a senior citizen who had filed a bankruptcy, so there's really nothing to go after him for. So we start the foreclosure. This was one where FCI referred to foreclosure, oversaw the foreclosure. If you're wondering why it took 3 years for it to finalize, that might be one of your giveaways. But the best improvement to that system is I didn't stay on top of them on a 15 to 30 day basis following up. So that's just a systems adjustment and how are you following up. Otherwise, I mean, I don't know. You finish these foreclosures, I maybe now need to add at a foreclosure's finalized to make sure they're recorded in my address, and you need to add that into your systems and your rundown. So that's a big adjustment I need to make, obviously, from this situation.
Is that
these fines weren't avoidable because I didn't even get notices. I literally until we got the actual last notice.
Well, avoidable by the previously sent statement of making sure your address is yeah.
So that's a learning lesson. At the end of the day, we have to take responsibility. It's my fault for them not having the right address at the county, even though you pay an attorney to do this, and the fact that he just even read off the wrong company name is interesting. So, truthfully, I didn't lie. I have never done business in the state of California. That is not my mailing address, and it was handwritten on the deed. It's FCI's mailing address, but it should have been. I only caught that at the end when I pulled the deed after this was all going on.
So what was a number one goal? He was going to call you and say, "Oh, this is all a big misunderstanding. Fines are gone."
A number one, he goes, "Okay, you're renovating the property. These are the things we have. Here are our major issues. You need to take care of these things. I'm coming back in 10 days.
Okay.
Start work."
Yes, get going.
Paying the rental registration. He goes, "Oh, well, if you own a property, come on." And he's like, "Sounds like you own property in a lot of places."
Sounds like you know what you're talking about.
Sounds like the time it would take me to check on all that stuff for every property is less than the $215 fine.
Right.
Which, is all you don't want to register as a vacant. You don't want to register as, you got to register as a rental.
That's way more expensive. Yeah.
And this goes back to an issue I had at a property in Canton, Ohio, the one I just got rid of, is learning and finding out what counties or what jurisdictions. That's not a landlord investor friendly county that's going to charge you a registration fee. And then, as he said, he's so quick to put these things for abating. Now, you don't want to end up with a Chicago or Cleveland where every house is allowed to just fall apart and they don't do anything. They probably...
there's tons of go-betweens, but those two extremes are awful.
Well, the thing is what it comes into and what we see is the black and white thinking of bureaucratic situations.
Sure.
Where he can't just be like, "Oh, okay." And he goes, "Well, it's out of my hands. It's the legal department." I'm like, "Yeah, but you can call the legal guy. And the legal guy can drop a case. So it's not, no one lost a limb. Nothing's bad happening." And I'm like, I never received rent. You want extra money from me. And at the end of the day, by flying to Danville, Illinois to do this, or hiring an attorney. What's an attorney going to want? $1,000 clip as a retainer? Mm-hmm. No attorney's going to go sit in that courtroom for $250 for the 1 hour for me. So you almost might as well just write the $1,000 check, or I got to call David, what's his name, in Danville, and have a good conversation with the legal department, and hope this guy says, "Hey, we'll send him back out, or we'll extend the court case, or we'll do this, and you've got 30 days to get the property renovated."
You're hoping he has so much already on his plate that he just doesn't even care to deal with.
That, or
because at least he's talking to another. We talk about it all the time. But dealing with another professional on the other side of the phone. Yeah. He has someone calling him. He has someone actively trying to do all the things you said prior to him taking 16 hours. By the way, real quick aside, for anyone who's listening on audio, or even for those watching, that call was at least 4 times longer than what you just watched and or listened to. A lot of pauses, a lot of breaks. That guy was going through a ton of paperwork. But essentially, you just give that guy the rundown you just gave him. I'm trying to fix up the, yada, 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 right? Sorry for the box of needles. That was such a random bit of information.
Well, I did just move out. Is that what I should have told him?
Yeah, exactly. I did just leave. But you're hoping that he's got enough on his plate that he's basically going to be like, yeah, okay, just get this done, whatever.
He's either busy or he's rational. I mean...
Well, you mentioned government. Yeah. Now in this legal department, I'm just saying. Anyway, you just put down your article. That was that was the second live call we've had on the show.
Yeah,
on the podcast.
We tend to take them. We they just show up sometimes.
I think people are going to start to try to figure out our shooting schedule and then just call us.
And go. Well, actually, if we do a Facebook Live like we just did before recording, and you have my number, we're not giving it out, but if you have it. 1-800-888. No. Then people could call in and do that. It'd be interesting. But we're talking about Ryan Holiday and the life box and these ideas, all these things. You made a face because I said my travel cologne. That's all the more.
No, that's not a face.
No,
that's excitement.
Behind that is pure genius.
Yes, that's why I'm excited.
Pure unbridled genius.
It's two things. It's genius and it's work.
I like it. Because it is. Because all it does is anytime I come up with an idea, it's just this snowball domino effect. So speaking of genius and what we're talking about and this next portion of how we're going to close out the show.
Yeah.
This is just, the world always puts the good stuff in front of you when you're already got the good stuff. So there's this Fortune magazine article called Unlocking Your Big Ideas. And they're talking about how Keith Richards came up with the Song for Satisfaction and things about Albert Einstein and Darwin, what he used to do about walking around. He had a footpath he would go walking. And how do you find those times where you have that shower moment? And we were talking earlier. Chase, we were at lunch and Chase went and washed his hands. He was like, I came up with this thing we got to talk about. And the reason I'm bringing it up is because, we've been, I talk openly about, last year, this time, my systems were great and they were amazing and they were chucking along. I was traveling, everything was good. And then they grew and grew and grew in the sense of business. And my systems went down the tube compared to the amount of business that I had. And we've been looking at making adjustments and changes and better systems and bringing in Salesforce. And we're talking about expanding, but a lot of these ideas, the development of Salesforce, the development of what I'm creating for my standard operating procedures, comes at the most random times. When I'm washing dishes, when I'm in the shower, or do I go out and I go walking? And the reason I'm putting it out this way is thinking about your businesses, what you guys are doing, the challenges you're coming with. You need to actively think about them, but then how are you passively going about providing yourself time to really just let your mind kind of free flow and come up with these ideas or solutions to your problem, and let your active brain come up with your unconscious brain and mix together where you get that aha eureka moment, or this is the thing I need to change, or like we just talked about now in this conversation where I need to now go home and find the place in my operating procedures for foreclosure to verify after I get title, which here's another good thing. I just had an email before we start recording that the recorded title for another property in Florida just got done. I now need to know that when I see that email, there needs to be an operating procedure where I go out and double check that the city has the appropriate, or the county records have the appropriate address. And that's not an aha eureka moment, but it at the same time it is from that conversation we just had and realizing, wait a second, that falls on my shoulders. And that's not the creative, that's just an active part of the business. Now we talk about the creative things and some of the things Chase does or that I've been doing. And we've spent time thinking about things and thinking about what we're doing. And now we're done thinking. It's time to do. You got there's time for action. Last year I read all those books and got to implement a lot of it. This year I'm reading less books. I've probably had 4 books already this year. I've gotten 100 pages into, and I'm like, this is stupid. I close the book, I take out my bookmark, and I give it away. And I'm like, I don't like this book. And you got to start what you finish. Well, how do you know where the end is? And is the end a new door? Is it a window? Is it a pivot? So, Chase, Has some other stuff you'd like to talk about.
Before that, he's sitting off camera. He's been very patient. Sitting off mic, it doesn't work the same way audio, right? I will say, okay, so only to very quickly piggyback on what you just said, we gave out a ton of copies of Tools of Titans, right? Mm-hmm. Did you know that Tools of Titans totally wrecked Tim Ferriss's year thus far? Here's why. He essentially just got done saying in an interview that one of his best years in recent memory was 2016 because he scheduled so much. He has a word for it. I can't remember what it is, but essentially that free time, that open time, where he could work, or he could have those walkabouts, or he could do whatever's necessary to cultivate what's happening in and around his business. 2016 was one of his most breakout years thus far because he specifically had that time in. Tools of Titans, the book we just gave out a bunch of, completely wrecked that because he had like 6 months of just crazy promotion. You got to be on this show. You got to do this podcast. You got to do this, and his time was no longer his.
The working on and working in.
Exactly, and so he now laments it a little. And he, in the interview with a guy who said, this guy literally says, I have a book that's been in my head for 2 or 3 years, but I don't want to write now. He's written multiple books, this guy has, but I don't want to write it because I don't want to deal with it.
Yeah.
I don't want to, and the phrase he had was so great. He basically said, I don't want to have on my back these people that are giving me their time, stuff like, and essentially being able to, you're the slave to those that you then give the opportunity of reading the book, essentially, because you want to give them your time, you want to go to this interview, you want to do this, so your time's not your own. He's like, and you try to rationalize. It's only 6 months. It's only, and he's like, and then it becomes a year, and then it's going to be in another language, and then it's.
Well, it goes to the thing where we always talk about it. My problems aren't real problems.
Exactly.
They're problems.
But
and
look,
it does the same thing for a guy like Tim Ferriss.
Everybody looks at somebody like Tim Ferriss and says, I want that life. Not his life, but the life to be able to cultivate the open space and to do the things you want to do or whatever. But then they don't actually do it. They don't actually plan the open space. They don't actually plan the walkabout time. They just assume that has nothing to do. Yeah, go find this article.
By the way, here you go.
Yeah, well, they just put it up on the video. It'll have to. It's not going to work. I'll link to it. It's all good. I'm trying to get it to the video.
That's right.
You tried. Essentially, though, the last piece I'll say is that they talk about wanting to have or be like or whatever, but then they don't even plan an hour
of
their next 160 of next week, right? They don't even do anything. Was it 168? They don't even do a singular hour of open space. And they're like, but I really want that. You just heard a guy said what he had in one of his most breakout years in a guy you want to be like, and then you're not going to schedule your time that way? Doesn't make any sense.
Well, and that's exactly what happened, though. I've realized, like, in the last couple months, we've got so much stuff going on with the business. We've got capital pouring in. We've got deals that we're working on, deals we're trying to finish. Contractors I can't wait to fire. Contractors I can't wait to give more business to.
I'm trying to give roughly $15,000 away to contractors right now, and just no one would. I'm struggling for people to call me back. I'm like, are you kidding me right now?
So it's like a good mix of problem, but now it's time for me.
Yes.
To take a little time.
We've got a lot of things coming. I feel like I keep saying that down the pipe, but the first thing that is, the big reveal for this show, hopefully the teaser in the Facebook Live and the intro of the show, you haven't left. If you have, come back. I don't know how you would know that's happening, but we have a new co-host of the show, David Galinsky. Come have a seat, sir.
How's it going, buddy?
How's it going? He's been sitting over on the sidelines. Ladies and gentlemen, get used to the lovely voice. Say hi to the people. Say hi to the community.
Hello, everybody. I hope this is a lovely voice. I hope I can compare with the radio voices.
You've got to project.
Yeah, you got to.
I will project.
There you go. Yes. So essentially, just as a bit of background, I know quite a bit about you. There might even be some people that are listening that know a lot about you, only because you do a really great job on different social platforms and things like that. Mostly because, in my opinion, of your age. But no, you're a young cat. You're hungry. You really do carry the ethos of the show regarding grassroots, learning the business, coming in and really just wanting to do anything and everything you possibly can to grow your business and what's going on, right? So that is why we have tasked you with this this awesome opportunity to essentially be new co-host of the show, right? But give everybody a little bit of background on yourself in real estate and all that kind of stuff.
Wow, really got to follow up that that introduction with something. So I'll start off with saying I'm 21. Started in real estate when I was. I tell people my whole life because I've kind of grown up around it. My dad did home improvement for over 40 years.
Wow.
And I grew up the house handyman because they had a lot of rentals. So I'd learn how to change dishwashers and garbage disposals and paint walls and all that kind of stuff. And then when I graduated high school, I went to college for business, and then I decided that I wanted to get a job because I've never worked a job before. So I went and I got my real estate license.
So never worked a job before. You were on the site with your dad, like during the time, or did you just never need money when you were a teenager? You were a mythical teenager that didn't need money.
The idea was my parents didn't want me to focus on having a job. They wanted me to focus on academics.
Oh, okay.
So I would help them out with their business and their rental properties, which was sort of a job.
That's a job.
That's a job.
That's work.
You swung more hammers than I have probably before the end. Yeah, no doubt.
Payment enough for them telling me not to have a job.
Yeah.
So but then I really wanted to have some experience out in the field.
So it's like, go dig this ditch at my rental property so you don't have to dig this out. It was very nice. Very nice.
We're putting new carpet in the living room. Can you please roll up the old carpet, take it to the street, and when you're done, let me know.
You hit the nail on the head. That's exactly.
Very nice.
Perfect.
Yep. And then I got my real estate license, and I did that. I'm still practicing now, and it's been about 3 years.
As an agent down in Orlando?
As an agent down in Orlando, yep. And I've done a fair amount of deals. I've learned how the business works. I've got the formulas down, which is kind of what you guys were talking about before, growing the business, which brings me to this point. I started also flipping houses in my second year of real estate, and I flipped 3 to date. And that's really fun because I was doing all the work myself, but it's gotten not fun because I'm doing all the work myself. And as anybody knows that has flipped a house, it's a lot more work than what they show on HGTV. It's not all those pretty just lipstick the house and you can sell it for 60 grand profit. It's none of that stuff.
And there's never closing costs
on
HGTV.
No.
I'd say the biggest thing, and I talked about this in, I think it was an email or something. Anyway, the biggest thing for me is the holding cost. They never talk about the holding cost. It's one of the biggest things we talk about on the show, and notes lend themselves to that because they are just traditionally so much longer. But like I'll flip it at one, and I'm like, okay, but like how long did this take? I'm always interested in how long did this take because I'm so interested in like the velocity and all the other stuff.
And they never have a phone call from the hard money lender in the middle of the show.
They're like, hey man, I'm getting it to you. Just give me a minute. I gotta get
the investor want to know why you painted it blue instead of turquoise.
Yeah. That stuff never happens. It's amazing how that never really makes it to the live show. And we actually have a friend. I don't know if you actually know him. His name is Curtis Warren. Are you familiar with him out of Houston?
Houston.
Yeah.
Houston's a good place.
He's an investor that I met at an event, and I could have sworn he met him as well. But anyway, he's actually in the running to be one of the. And I pleaded with him, please.
On HGTV?
Yeah, on HGTV. He's one of they're looking for some new people or whatever.
Wait, so he could be like the head guy on the show?
He'll be
one episode.
I think what they do is they do an episode, see how the audience reacts to you,
like a pilot.
And then exactly. And I'm like, I need you to please include just as like an offhanded comment. By the way, the holding time on this deal was like just as an offhanded. I think that level of transparency
like to be a little more transparent.
I think that level of transparency will go over so well with the audience. I'd like to think. Anyway,
so a couple fix and flips,
and then I've gotten to this point now that me and Robbie have talked about for a little bit.
And when we had a meeting, this is the other thing. He didn't know if I was going to put. We had a meeting last week that I almost didn't go to. I'm be honest. I was like, ugh. I think actually this not drinking for a month thing I was hungover too. That was part of it. But
because you had then.
Yeah. David here put together a mastermind group of some of his friends. And now I feel a little. I was the oldest, the most gray haired, but it was just an absolutely great time. We had 3.5 hours at Panera. We closed down at Panera.
Did not expect that.
Wow. Listen, guys, if you want real business chat, you got to head up to your local Panera. That's legit.
Listen, I love it. It was a good meeting. I was impressed. But part of what Dave and I have talked a while about real estate and hung out, and we've gotten to get together and get to know each other. And one of the things he was talking about was, I want to explore something different. I don't know what exactly it is right now. And I need my systems improved and I need some help, and this kid is so smart. And I hate that I keep calling you kid. I keep telling you.
It is literally going to happen, I think, forever.
You're just going to be the kid for the show.
kid for the rest of the...
Relatively, I kind of am. So
Yeah,
Yeah.
this is very accurate. I guess technically I could have birthed you with the difference. I could have been responsible for that.
Exactly.
From a biological perspective. It's stupid. Gee, that might...
Why does every new addition to that... No, but it's fantastic. I think he told me you had all that stuff going on, and that, to me, he actually called me and said, hey, here's what I've been thinking about, yada, yada, yada. And I love it. We try to be as transparent as we can. We try to have as much integrity as we can with the audience. We talk about our losses. We talk about our wins. We talk about the struggles we have going on in life, business, across the board. We bring deals. We bring case studies. We bring all this. Like, that's real. Like we wanted to grow and expand, and this is one of the problems that we were having. And so I think it's fantastic.
Yeah, so I'm going to go sit in the corner and think about things. Well, these guys are going to do a little work.
I'm going to put my nose in the corner.
And then as Chase knows, every time I leave to think about something, it comes with hours of exponential more work. Because I was like, I got an idea.
I got an idea.
We can do this.
There's, so essentially what we'll have now is we will have, this is the way that I like to think about it, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, but we will now have essentially an editor at large, which I think is fantastic. One thing that David did not mention, he also partakes in a ton of that lifestyle design stuff. Many of the shows will be happening from a travel. It seems like I can't ever just find someone that likes to stay where they are and make worship. But essentially, we'll still include a ton of that travel stuff. We'll still be talking about running your business from afar. If for no other reason than afar does not have to be all the way to Spain or to Colombia or whatever, right? They can be, I just want to have a better run system so that way my business isn't always just on me, essentially, right? So we will still have a lot of that lifestyle design stuff on the show, which is great. But this will be starting as soon as the very next episode. I'm pumped.
Well, and it also brings us back relative to where we started with the podcast.
Yep.
With looking at an audience that was getting into the note space, knew about real estate or didn't know much, knew enough to be dangerous, and that's exactly where David's at. He's got a well-versed in real estate. I've got a property I'm selling, and he looked at the contract the other day. He's like, where's the contract from? He's like, why are you not using an as-is contract? And I was like, I'm only good at like 20% of what I do in this business. So I'm really good at that 20%. This thing, I don't know. I just needed to sign a contract.
So now we need to talk about, I'm going to make notes for future episodes on why that matters. So there we go. That'll be great. I'm sure this is simple reasons.
Absolutely.
But
and I mean, it's going to be great for the audience too, because they're going to get to hear about all my stumbles and learning experiences. And like you guys are so transparent, I'm going to try to be as transparent too. You know, I don't expect this business to be like rainbows and butterflies the entire way through. I expect my fair share of...
The best part about it is throughout the show, Chase knows we've called each other out. Mm-hmm. And in transparency, David working with me on deals, I imagine there will be a show I don't even hear about till somebody calls me and be like, I have no idea how Robbie's done what he's done. He's crazy, or he's doing, I don't know what he was thinking when he did this. And opportunities for me to just get another set of eyes inside of the business and help improve everything we've got going on and figure out what is next for all of us as we grow and expand and do exactly what we have talked about on the goals episodes, where for me it was about expanding my business and stabilizing the systems this year. And the theme of 2017 is organization, and this is another way that I think we can better organize the podcast. I can better organize my business. Chase is going to organize our marketing because now he has got some more social media going on.
I've got a young social media hungry guy. No, I think it brings more deals, it brings more experience, it brings more learning opportunities for when we talk about. I mean, we just had a live call where potentially the outcome was we hope that we can mitigate some fees XYZ. Not. So here's where you guys are going to have to find it. I mean, that's a microcosm of everything that we'll still be bringing. More trials, more stumbles, more wins, more deals, more case studies. More of just everything that we've already brought. It's just all of that kind of stuff. And then also be on the lookout because we're going to be expanding over to YouTube and just a bunch of other things to just continue to do what we've been doing. I mean, everything about this is fantastic. I'm pumped. I'm excited.
We're really excited. This is it's going to be fun. And then you guys probably don't listen to Tropical MBA, but Chase and I have. And one of the ways I had to pitch this idea to him. And I was like, listen, the Tropical MBA guys, you know. The one disappears for 5 or 6 weeks at a time, and then he shows back up, and for the episode he's there, he's got all this stuff to talk about and all this crazy nonsense going on. And I can't take this call.
I was about to say we could take this call.
It's like,
on
I
the
got
show.
another call, but I probably should wait. This is about a hard money deal.
But yes, so the editor-at-large piece I think will be awesome. I think that'll be a really fantastic piece.
Who
So
knows, maybe this gives you a little bit of some vacation time too, because maybe me and Robbie can host a show, or you.
Who's
and
going
Robbie,
to edit
or-
it?
listen,
Oh.
I don't think you understand how things work around
No.
here, but
I'm learning, guys.
Nothing
I'm learning.
happens.
I'm
There's
sorry.
only one person that pushes the brim. Now, to me, yeah, like I said, I'm very excited about it. Any parting shots for the people, Mr. Woods? You got something coming up? I know that obviously, like you mentioned, you'll be kind of out and about and doing what have you. We have a ton. I mean, just you mentioned at the jump, or at least in the. I'm not sure if it was on the recording here or on the Facebook Live. I'll check it out. But the deals we have coming, the commercial stuff. I mean, just there's so much stuff.
Yeah, I mean, I got a bunch of travel. I'm going Paper Source. I'm
Yeah,
in
we will be.
California
Yeah.
for most of May. Back in Southern California in June for IMN. And just, I want to bring some of the deals that we haven't been exposing people to. The multifamily deals. We've got some development deals that, which is crazy. We've talked about growth, like looking at $1 million deals.
Yep.
These are not deals 3 years ago we talked about and that we were doing, and now they're ones that we're being exposed to where we do have access to capital that's coming in at those larger numbers with investors that we've worked with, and now they're ready to open up to allow us to invest some more capital. And I think me being able to get away and go work on those projects maintains what we have here at the podcast and then grows what we've been doing.
Absolutely. And so we will be at Paper Source. We actually have a booth. We potentially have an announcement, though we might not be able to deliver on product, but I'm very excited about it.
We could show it to you.
Yes. So if you're at Paper Source, or maybe this will give you a reason to go to Paper Source, you'll be able to meet Robbie in person, possibly David, depending on when his travel plans are, other things like that. You can actually use a promo code until April 15th, I believe.
I believe that's till
Note MBA, it'll get you
$50.
$50 off. So be sure to use that. So anyway, if you have any questions about this show or anything else, or you want us to cover anything on the show, be sure to send us an email at ask@notemba.com. As always, everything we discuss will be here at the show notes over at Note MBA, the newly designed Note MBA.
Looks good too.
It
This guy did this on his free time.
It looks sharp.
good.
We have a resource page that'll be coming out. Actually, the thing that is taking forever on the resource page, like I sent you that text, I wanted to put every book we've ever talked about on the resource page, so that way everyone had that as a reference. We actually brought up 36 different books in the first 34 episodes alone. So it is taking a very long time.
Voracious reading.
It's bonkers how much we've done. So anyway, so we'll have a new resource page, so be sure to go check that out. And as always, if this is your first time here, be sure to tell 5 other people you know about the Note MBA podcast. We'll catch you guys next week.
Take it easy, guys. Thanks for listening.
Nice meeting everybody.
I love it.